Chapter 3509. A terrifying sword light forced Yuan Huan back. Following that, the void flashed and another black-robed man appeared. This black-robed man's speed was astonishing. In a flash, he appeared not far away from Yuan Huan. 8th level Divine Lord. Yuan Huan's expression was incomparably solemn. I really didn't expect them to have such a powerful existence. Fortunately, the Lord was considerate and let us follow you secretly just in case. Otherwise, you'll be doomed today. The black-robed man who appeared behind said coldly. You? Who else? The black-robed man from before said. Me. A cold voice came from the starry sky not far away. Following that, another figure appeared. Another extremely terrifying expert. Yuan Huan's heart sank and his expression became ugly. In the next moment, Yuan Huan turned around and rushed towards Lu Ming's side. Go! Yuan Huan growled. His violent aura rushed towards the black-robed men who were surrounding Yuan Huan and Lu Ming. Yuan Huan's strength was so strong that his aura was like a wave. Those black-robed men were instantly scattered and retreated in all directions. The encirclement of Lu Ming's group also dispersed. Go quickly! Yuan Huan roared anxiously. Because the two black-robed men who appeared behind him were too powerful. They were both 8th level Divine Lords. Yuan Huan was still confident in dealing with one such person. But two he would lose without a doubt. If there were three, it would definitely be a dead end. Lu Ming, Blue Merchant, and the rest also knew the seriousness of the matter, and flew back one after another. Want to leave? Today none of you can think about leaving. Kill. The two black-robed men who appeared behind him said coldly. Their figures flashed like black phantoms, sweeping across the universe's starry sky and rushing towards Lu Ming's group. Their speed was shockingly fast. Before they arrived, a terrifying sword light had already slashed towards Lu Ming's group. The sword light was shocking, spanning a boundless distance and was incomparably huge. It completely enveloped Lu Ming's group. No matter how they dodged, they were enveloped by the sword light. You guys go first. I'll hold them back. Yuan Huan roared. He turned around and waved his iron staff, sweeping away thousands of soldiers as he attacked the two sword lights. Two loud explosions rang out, and Yuan Huan's body shook violently as he retreated. At this moment, a resplendent sword light pierced towards Yuan Huan. It was that 8th level Divine Lord black-robed person who exchanged blows with Yuan Huan previously. This sword was too fast, and Yuan Huan had just been repelled at this time, and found it hard to dodge. Yuan Huan roared and barely managed to move back a distance. However, he still couldn't completely dodge the attack. Puchi. The sword light pierced through Yuan Huan's abdomen and blood flowed out. You want to block it? Let's see how you're going to block it alone. One of the black-robed men sneered. His sword light surged once again as he charged towards Yuan Huan. While the remaining 7th level Divine Lord and 6th level Divine Lord black-robed people continued rushing towards Lu Ming, they all. Boom. Boom. After a few more moves, Yuan Huan was forced back again and again. Another sword wound appeared on his body, penetrating his bones. The situation was perilous. Once Yuan Huan was defeated, Lu Ming and the others would definitely die. Ha ha ha. Die for me. Kill them. Remember, capture that guy alive first. Search his body for treasures that are useful to Lord before killing him. Some of the black-robed people laughed loudly and charged towards Lu Ming and the others. Boom. Right at this moment, the void exploded. A saber light slashed out, slashing directly onto one of the black-robed people. This black-robed person had 6th level Divine Lord cultivation, but he couldn't resist at all. He was directly split into two by the saber light, dying on the spot. Who's there? Several black-robed people roared in shock as they retreated. The void filled up. After that, one figure after another appeared. There was a total of 7 people. These 7 people were wrapped in blood-red robes from head to toe. Their faces couldn't be seen at all. Kill. After these red-robed people appeared, they charged towards the black-robed people. Moreover, their strength was very shocking. The person in the lead had a terrifying aura. He was an 8th level Divine Lord expert. He charged towards Yuan Huan and slashed down with his saber, charging towards one of the black-robed people. As for the other red-robed people, they also charged towards the black-robed people and the battle became a mess. What's going on? Lu Ming, Blue Merchant, and the others were a little confused. Who sent these red-robed people? They actually came to help them. So many experts. In the entire Taishu dynasty, there weren't many forces that could send out so many experts, right? Moreover, how did they know that Lu Ming and the others would be ambushed here? Lu Ming's mind spun rapidly, but he couldn't think of a reason. However, they naturally wouldn't miss such a good opportunity. The dark ape fighting race fought back, and finally blocked the black-robed people. However, they were still at a disadvantage in the peak battlefield. Although there was an additional red-robed person joining forces with Yuan Huan, they were still only 2 people. The other party had 3 people. Yuan Huan and the red-robed person were at a disadvantage. Who are you people? How dare you spoil our plans? You're courting death. A black-robed person shouted, his voice cold. However, the red-robed person didn't say a word and attacked with all his might. Universe ring. Suddenly, a cold voice came from above the starry sky. Then golden light shone brightly. A golden collar suddenly flew out and smashed toward an 8th-level Divine Lord black-robed person. Rumble. The starry sky kept exploding. That golden collar's power was terrifying to the extreme. Piercing through the universe's starry sky. Not good. The 3 black-robed people's faces changed drastically. Their voices trembled, revealing a look of horror. Then they retreated frantically. However, it was already too late. One of the black-robed people was shrouded by the golden collar. No matter how he attacked, he couldn't break out. No, he roared. In the next instant, the golden collar smashed into his body. This terrifying 8th-level Divine Lord existence's body directly exploded, turning into ashes. An 8th-level Divine Lord expert died just like that. Lu Ming and the others were stunned. In the next instant, they discovered that a figure had appeared above the starry sky at some point in time. This figure was also shrouded in layers of fog, completely unable to see the appearance. It seemed that these people who appeared today were all unwilling to show their true faces to others. However, this figure was petite and seemed to be a woman. She gave a light cry and controlled the golden collar, smashing it toward the second 8th-level Divine Lord existence. Those 2 8th-level Divine Lord black-robed people retreated wildly, not daring to resist at all, because they already sensed that the person who appeared last was too terrifying, surpassing 8th-level Divine Lord. It was very likely a 9th-level Divine Lord existence. Divine Lord realm. The difference of 1 level was the difference between heaven and earth. It was instant kill. A 9th-level Divine Lord was not what they could contend with at all. They could only retreat. You all hold them back, I'll kill them. That figure who appeared at the back opened her mouth, the voice crisp. It was clearly a woman. Only at this time did Yuan Huan and those red-robed people react to it, charging toward the other party one after another, wanting to hold the other party back. Chapter 35:10. As for the woman, she controlled the Vajra ring to attack an 8th-level Divine Lord. The black-robed man frantically retreated, but the Vajra ring's speed was astonishing. It turned into a golden light and instantly caught up to him. The black-robed man roared and slashed out a sword light with all his strength. This sword was incomparably stunning. No matter what planet it would be destroyed by this sword. The starry sky was split open, and a pitch-black crack appeared. Clang! In the end, the sword slashed the Vajra ring. The sword light shook violently and then directly exploded. In the end, even the black-robed man's battle sword exploded. The Vajra ring didn't stop. It carried boundless power as it bombarded the black-robed man. The black-robed man didn't even have time to scream before he turned into ashes. In just a short while, 2 8th-level Divine Lords were killed in succession. This scene was simply explosive. 8th-level Divine Lords were definitely peak experts in the Taishu dynasty. One had to know that some of the weaker heavenly kings were only 7th-level Divine Lords. These people were all existences on equal footing with heavenly kings. But now they were being killed one after another. There was only one 8th-level Divine Lord left. This person was incomparably terrified. He frantically retreated, wanting to escape. However, Yuan Huan and the red-robed man pursued relentlessly. They constantly attacked and entangled this person, preventing him from activating the teleportation formation on his body to escape. At this time, the woman above controlled the Vajra ring and attacked. Who are you? I'm telling you, I'm His Majesty the Sacred Emperor's people. How dare you kill us? This is a great crime worthy of 9 familial extermination, roared the black-robed man. Originally, he didn't want to reveal his identity because the higher-ups had instructed him not to, but now that his life was on the line, he couldn't care so much. He could only use the Taishu Sacred Emperor as a deterrent. Unfortunately, whether it was Yuan Huan, the red-robed man, or the woman above, they didn't hesitate at all. They didn't stop attacking. You're all treacherous. The final 8th level Divine Lord only had time to let out an unwilling roar before he was struck by the Vajra ring and killed. At this point, the 3 8th level Divine Lord black-robed men had all been killed. As for the remaining black-robed men, they were nearly scared to death. They frantically tried to escape, but Yuan Song, the Nether Ape battle race, and the red-robed men firmly held them back. At this time, Yuan Huan and the others charged over. You're all treacherous. The black-robed men frantically resisted. But the result was already decided. Not long after, all of the black-robed men were killed. Thank you all Divine Lord for your help. I know who sent you. You've been sent here, but I don't know who sent you. Divine Lord's Divine Lord. For the black-robed man, for the woman. No need, we just don't want those people to succeed. Of the Divine Lord. And the black Horabed men's. Divine. The woman in the starry sky spoke. She was still shrouded in mist, and her appearance couldn't be seen clearly. After she finished speaking, her figure flashed, and she disappeared without a trace. Divine Emperor. Lu Ming clenched his fists. His eyes were cold. This time, it was obvious that the Divine Void Divine Lord had tricked him into coming here. He had set up an ambush to kill them. Moreover, the Divine Void Divine Lord's target seemed to be Blue Merchant. Could it be because of the Soul Mother? Suddenly, Lu Ming's heart stirred as he thought of this. Lu Ming, you should have guessed it. If I'm not wrong, the Divine Void Divine Lord wants to kill me and take the Soul Mother for himself. Blue Merchant looked at Lu Ming. His expression was ugly. He had also thought of this. Back at the Divine Void Divine Lord's birthday, I used my soul power to block the soul attack of the Wu people. Although I didn't use the Soul Mother, the Divine Void Divine Lord must have suspected that I had obtained a precious soul treasure. And now, he has a strong desire for all soul treasures. That's why he sent people to ambush us. Lan Shang continued to speak, and his speculations were not far from the mark. Those red-robed men, and that woman seemed to be from 2 different factions. Who sent them? Why would they save us? Lu Ming frowned. He was still very puzzled. Those who know about the Divine Emperor's plan are most likely people by his side. Those red-robed men, if I'm not wrong, were sent by the Crown Prince. Blue Merchant said. The Crown Prince? This time Lu Ming was really shocked. The Crown Prince sent them? The Crown Prince actually sent people to save them? Didn't the Crown Prince want to cut Lu Ming into pieces? Why would he send people to save them? This answer was really beyond Lu Ming's expectations. As if seeing Lu Ming's confusion, Blue Merchant said, if it was only the Divine Emperor who wanted to kill you, the Crown Prince would definitely clap his hands in joy. Why would he save you? But if there was some treasure that could extend the Divine Emperor's lifespan, the Crown Prince naturally wouldn't watch the Divine Emperor succeed. With Blue Merchant's explanation, Lu Ming understood. The Divine Emperor's lifespan was coming to an end. After the Divine Emperor died, the Crown Prince would succeed to the throne. If the Divine Emperor's lifespan was extended, how could the Crown Prince succeed to the throne? Therefore, compared to Lu Ming's life, the Divine Emperor's position was more important. That was why the Crown Prince sent people to sabotage and prevent the Divine Emperor from succeeding. In that case, who sent that woman? Lu Ming thought of that woman again. There weren't many 9th-level Divine Lords in the entire Taishu dynasty, right? I don't know. I can't see through her at all. Lan Shang shook his head and furrowed his brows. They discussed for a while but still couldn't figure out the woman's background. Then they didn't stay any longer and left. After a period of time, they were far away from Dark Pine Galaxy before stopping. Lan Shu, The Taishu Divine Emperor didn't get the treasure on you this time. I'm afraid he won't let this matter rest. He'll definitely send people to deal with you again. Lu Ming frowned, his expression grave. He was very unhappy, very unhappy. He didn't get any news of his parents, and now, Blue Merchant was targeted by the Taishu Divine Emperor. This made him furious and frustrated. Lu Ming, calm down. Your parents should be fine. The other party wants to use your parents to threaten you. So won't they do anything to your parents? Therefore, at this time, he has to raise his strength. The stronger you are, the stronger the force you control, and the more weight you carry. The more weight you carry, the more the other party will value you, and the more value you will have to be used. Your parents will be safer. Blue Merchant said. Lu Ming took a deep breath and calmed himself down. As for me, it looks like I'll have to play dead. Blue Merchant continued. Play dead? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Playing dead was indeed a good idea. Chapter 35:11. But how should they carry it out? After that, Lu Ming and Blue Merchant discussed and came up with a plan. They could borrow Etion's power and lead the trouble to the barbarian tribe. They did it right away. They immediately went to Etion's place of contact and discussed with him to make a plan. Then Lu Ming returned to the hidden dragon star and led the dark ape fighting tribe to the battlefield of the barbarian tribe. Not long after, a piece of news spread rapidly in the Taishu dynasty. Lu Ming led people to fight the barbarian tribe and was ambushed by them. They suffered heavy casualties. Even Jingyu's teacher, Blue Merchant, died in the battle and his body was taken away by the barbarian tribe. Moreover, the recording of the Rest Shadow Stone was circulated. In an instant, it caused a huge commotion. After all, Blue Merchant was Jingyu's teacher. He was extremely talented and was a top expert in the Taishu dynasty. Unfortunately, because of Jingyu's case, his star core was destroyed and he died in the hands of the barbarian tribe. It was really a pity. This big show was naturally planned by Lu Ming and Etion. Everything was fake, but they acted as if it was real. Taishu Dynasty Imperial Palace Hall. Damn it! In the hall, there was a furious roar. The violent aura shrouded the entire Imperial Palace. Many guards were trembling with pale faces. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly. In the hall, there were a few people standing below. They kept quiet out of fear, and didn't dare to make a sound. Taishu Saint Emperor sat at the top. His face was distorted and full of ferocious murderous intent. Damn it! Damn Blue Merchant, damn Lu Ming, damn the barbarian tribe. The Great Void Saint Emperor continued to roar in anger. He didn't understand why things turned out this way. He had arranged everything flawlessly. He pretended to have found Lu Ming's parents and deceived Lu Ming and the rest to go over. Then he sent experts to ambush them. There were more than a dozen experts, all of whom were above the 6th Divine Lord Realm. There were even 3 8th Divine Lord Realm experts. However, they never returned. There was no news. It was as if they were swallowed by a giant beast. How was this possible? There were so many experts by Lu Ming's side. Moreover, now that the Blue Merchant had been killed by the barbarian tribe, and his corpse had fallen into the hands of the barbarian tribe, wouldn't that mean that the soul treasure was also with the barbarian tribe? Therefore, he was furious. This was related to his lifespan. He was unable to restrain his anger, and his killing intent was almost uncontrollable. After a long while, the Taishu Saint Emperor's aura finally calmed down. Men, send a message to the Berserker Emperor. Tell him that I'm willing to buy back the Blue Merchant's corpse at a high price. The Great Void Saint Emperor ordered. They naturally had a way to pass the news to the barbaric emperor. But after a period of time, the barbarian emperor replied with only 2 words. No way. The barbarian tribe and the Taishu dynasty were mortal enemies. Not long ago, the 2 sides had fought a great battle at the Taishu Saint Emperor's birthday banquet. How could the barbaric emperor agree to the Great Void Saint Emperor's request? He did not even need to check or ask. As long as it was beneficial to the Great Void Saint Emperor, he would reject it. Barbarian Emperor, you're courting death. Men, give me the order to attack the barbarian tribe. I want to destroy the barbarian tribe. At the same time, mobilize the troops of all the heavenly kings and marquises' mansions, and attack the barbarian tribe together. The Great Void Saint Emperor had gone mad. He wanted to launch an all-out attack on the barbarian tribe. Following the Taishu Saint Emperor's orders, the entire Taishu Holy Court was shaken. All the Heavenly King's manors and Marquis manors sent out their experts to join the army. Together with the Imperial Army, they charged towards the barbarian tribe. Of course, the barbarian tribe was not weak either. They mobilized a huge army to fight the Taishu dynasty. A terrifying war had broken out. The Taishu dynasty and the barbarian tribe fought at the border. The war was endless, and a large number of experts fell every day. However, the Taishu dynasty was only slightly stronger than the barbarian tribe. How could it be easy to destroy the barbarian tribe? For a time, both sides were in a stalemate. Both sides had victories and losses, and the war was hard to determine. Lu Ming naturally led the Nether Ape fighting tribe to fight the barbarian tribe. Of course, he was just putting on an act. After a few battles, he brought his people back to the Hidden Dragon Star, and let the Nether Ape fighting tribe cultivate in peace. Just like that, 10 years passed in a flash. In these 10 years, the Taishu dynasty and the barbarian tribe were still at war. However, it was not as crazy as before. Both sides were in a stalemate, and sometimes there would be a big battle. At this time, Lu Ming received a piece of good news. It was sent to him by Tian. He finally found the whereabouts of the mid-autumn moon. More than 100 years ago, someone found traces of the autumn moon in the north of the barbarian tribe. However, later on, for some unknown reason, the autumn moon seemed to have disappeared in the Lost Galaxy in the north of the barbarian tribe. Lost Galaxy? Lu Ming's face was extremely solemn. Lu Ming had heard of the legend of the Lost Galaxy. It was said that the Lost Galaxy was in the north of the barbarian tribe. It was a very strange galaxy. No matter what cultivation you had, as long as you entered the Lost Galaxy, you could forget about coming out. Throughout history, countless powerful existences, including top experts above the 7th Divine Lord realm, had never returned. No one had ever come out. What happened? How did the mid-autumn moon enter the Lost Galaxy? Lu Ming was extremely anxious. Needless to say, the mid-autumn moon must have encountered some special circumstances. Otherwise, how could she enter the Lost Galaxy? No, I must go and find the mid-autumn moon. Lu Ming's face was filled with determination. No matter how terrifying the Lost Galaxy was, he had to make a trip. He could not leave the mid-autumn moon behind. Even if it was dangerous, he had to go. Moreover, he had to go immediately. The Lost Galaxy was strange and unpredictable. He did not know what dangers there would be. If he went later, the mid-autumn moon would be in greater danger. Immediately, he gathered Yuan Huan and Yuan Song, and told them about this matter. Blue Merchant was naturally not here. Instead, he stayed with Tian for the time being. You want to go to the Lost Galaxy? That's too dangerous. For countless years, no one who went in has ever come out. Lu Ming, you have to think carefully. Yuan Huan advised. I know it's dangerous, but this time, I have to go. After I leave, I'll leave this place to you. Don't worry, I'll definitely come out. Lu Ming said with incomparable determination. Yuan Huan and Yuan Song looked hesitant. However, they had been with Lu Ming for some time. They knew Lu Ming's character. Once he made up his mind, it was useless even if others tried to persuade him. Since the battle ancestor has a request, we'll go with you. We can take care of each other. Yuan Huan said. That's right. Let's go together. Yuan Song added. No, you have to stay here. If you go with me, who will be responsible for this place? Lu Ming rejected directly. Then I'll go with the battle ancestor. With the clan leader here, there must be someone with the battle ancestor. Otherwise, it'll be too dangerous. Yuan Song said. He had to go with Lu Ming. Chapter 35:12. In the end, Lu Ming decided to bring Ape Song to the Lost Galaxy, while Ape Huan oversaw the Hidden Dragon Star. Without any hesitation, Lu Ming set off on the same day. Ape Song brought Lu Ming along at an astonishing speed, flying along the northern border of the barbarian race. Although they encountered the barbarian race along the way, with Ape Song leading the way, there were no obstacles at all. After a period of time, they finally arrived at the Lost Galaxy. Looking from afar, a galaxy was suspended in the universe, shining with silver-white starlight. It was incomparably dazzling. From the looks of it, it seemed to be slowly rotating. The galaxy was actually not like a river. Looking from outside the galaxy was circular and slowly rotating. It was incomparably mysterious. "Let's go," Lu Ming whispered and flew toward the lost galaxy with Ape Kong. As they got closer and closer, Lu Ming and Ape Song finally flew into the range of the lost galaxy. When they flew into the range of the lost galaxy, a burst of dazzling light shone, so bright that the two could not open their eyes. After a few breaths, the dazzling light disappeared. Lu Ming and Ape Song looked around, and then their expressions changed. Originally, they had just entered the edge of the lost galaxy, but now when they looked back, there was a vast starry sky behind them. Lonely planets were suspended in the air, and they could not see the end of it. They could not see other galaxies at all. The two tried to fly backward, but after flying for hundreds of millions of miles, they still could not fly out of the lost galaxy. They were really lost. It seems that the lost galaxy has a terrifying field energy. Once a living creature enters, it will be lost and can't find the way out. Lu Ming frowned. Autumn Moon had been here for so many years. What had happened? "Ape Song, let's go," Lu Ming said to Ape Song, then flew in the opposite direction. But after a while Lu Ming stopped, and a puzzled look appeared on his face. "Battle Ancestor, what's wrong?" Ape Song asked. "I don't know why, but ever since I entered the Lost Star River, my blood seems to be flowing faster. The primordial god blood in my body seems to be slightly pulsating, as if it is responding to something. Yes, it's an inexplicable response," Lu Ming said. He really felt that way. Sense. Where is that feeling coming from? Yuan Song's eyes lit up as he asked. "There." Lu Ming pointed in a direction. "If I'm not wrong, there must be something in that direction that attracted the War Ancestor. Maybe the War Ancestor is lucky enough to find the Autumn Moon girl and the way out?" Yuan Song said. "Could it be Mid-Autumn Moon? Let's go." After Lu Ming finished speaking, he quickly flew in that direction. The ape followed closely behind. In the Lost Star River, one would not be able to distinguish directions. Moreover, during the process of flying, the direction would constantly change. At first, Lu Ming felt that the feeling was in front of him, but after flying for a while, the feeling appeared on the right. Lu Ming flew to the right again, and after a while it became behind him again. Sometimes it was right, sometimes it was left, sometimes it was in front, and sometimes it was behind him. It was constantly changing, incomparably strange, and difficult to grasp. If they did not have that feeling, they would be trapped here for the rest of their lives. Just like that, they flew for a full month. After flying for a month, Lu Ming felt that the feeling was getting stronger and stronger. It seemed that Lu Ming was getting closer and closer to the place where he felt the feeling. "Who's there?" At that moment, Yuan Song suddenly shouted. His eyes were like lightning as he scanned the surroundings. Lu Ming was shocked and he stopped in his tracks. He, I didn't expect someone to come in again. It's been a long time since a good meal was delivered. This time, I can eat to my heart's content again." A sneer was heard, and then the void spread. A huge python suddenly appeared, opened its bloody mouth, and stared at Lu Ming and Yuan Song eerily. A python had appeared in the Lost Star River. The python stuck out its tongue, sweeping Lu Ming's body back and forth, and said coldly, "Young man, I like young people the most. The taste is fresh and tender. The last time a girl came in, the taste was really good." The python said coldly. Bang. At this moment, Lu Ming's head roared, as if it was about to explode. The last time a girl came in? Could it be the Autumn Moon? At this moment, Lu Ming emitted a terrifying killing intent. "Yuan Song, kill him for me. No, cripple him first." Lu Ming roared. Bang. Lu Ming's voice had just faded when Yuan Song directly attacked. Grabbing with a large hand, a huge palm grabbed toward the python. 7th level Divine Lord, ah damn it. The python roared in horror. Its huge body twisted, turning around to flee. He had 5th level Divine Lord cultivation, 2 levels lower than Yuan Kong. The moment he discovered Yuan Song's cultivation, he did not dare to stay at all. However, with a difference of 2 levels, how could he possibly escape? Yuan Song's large hand grabbed down, covering the firmament, enveloping the starry sky within a radius of tens of millions of miles. Then he grabbed the python. The python struggled fiercely, but when Yuan Song squeezed hard, the python cried out miserably. It was unknown how many bones in its body were broken. You really ate a young woman? Lu Ming asked with red eyes. No, I'm lying to you guys. I did see a young woman, but before I made a move, she ran away. I can swear on my life source that I really didn't eat her. Spare me. The python cried out miserably. Lu Ming immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Since the other party dared to swear on his life source, it was most likely true. The woman you mentioned, what did she look like? Lu Ming asked. Very beautiful, like a fairy. Immediately, the python described it again. It was really the autumn moon. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The moment the other party described, he knew that it was indeed the autumn moon. You're a 5th-level divine lord. How could you let her run away? You'd better not lie to me. Lu Ming said coldly. It's true. I did want to make a move at that time, but there was an expert beside that girl. I didn't dare to make a move. The python said. An expert. Lu Ming frowned and asked again. Then do you know where that woman went after that? I don't know. I really don't know what happened after that. Please spare me. I've been trapped in the Lost Star River for a year. It's so miserable. Take pity on me. The python cried out miserably. Tears actually flowed out of its eyes, looking miserable. Then you have no value. Yuan Song, kill it. Lu Ming said indifferently. No, wait, right, I remember now. Hearing that Lu Ming wanted to kill it, the python almost shrank in fear and screamed sharply. Speak. Lu Ming said coldly. They might have gone to the core area. Those who enter the Lost Star River will never be able to get out, and will eventually go to the core area. The python hurriedly shouted and explained. Chapter 35:13. The Core Land. Lu Ming and Yuan Song were curious. That's right. The core is the core of the Lost Galaxy. It's a planet. You should be able to see that in the Lost Galaxy, there's no divine aura at all. Only the planet at the core has divine aura. Therefore, all the creatures on the Lost Galaxy will eventually go to the core. The girl you're looking for may have gone to the core land too. The python quickly explained and trembled in fear, afraid that Yuan Song would kill him. Are you trying to lie to me? It's difficult to distinguish directions in the Lost Galaxy. How can other creatures find the core land? Lu Ming's face was filled with murderous intent. I'm not lying. If you sense it carefully, you'll definitely sense that all the energy in the Lost Galaxy is converging towards one place. Although it's extremely faint, you can still sense it if you sense it carefully. As long as you follow the direction of the energy flow, you'll be able to find the planet at the core. The python screamed in horror and quickly explained. Immediately, Lu Ming and Yuan Song sensed it carefully. Indeed, not long after, they vaguely sensed that the energy between heaven and earth was indeed flowing slowly and converging in one direction. However, the range was too small. If they didn't sense it carefully, they wouldn't be able to sense it at all. Even if they sensed it, they wouldn't think that the energy was converging towards the core land. The flow of energy in space was very normal. You've sensed it, right? I'm telling the truth. If you want to go to the core land, I can take you with me. The python cried. All right, let's go together then. Lu Ming said. It was good to have an acquaintance by his side. Moreover, Lu Ming couldn't determine whether what the python said was true or false. Yuan Song immediately let go of the python. The python's body quickly shrank and turned into a skinny old man with a shifty-eyed look. My name is Python Fu. The python chuckled and introduced himself. Then he led Lu Ming and the others in a certain direction. Along the way, Lu Ming carefully sensed that they were indeed following the direction of the energy flow. To Lu Ming's surprise, the direction of the energy flow was actually the same as the direction he sensed. In other words, the feeling also came from the planet at the core land. Just like that, they kept flying. However, their speed wasn't very fast as they couldn't use their full strength. Therefore, in the blink of an eye, they flew for another month. We're here. Python Fu revealed a look of excitement as he looked ahead. In front of him, there was a huge planet suspended in the air. Even though he was far away, Lu Ming could still sense traces of divine aura emanating from it. Furthermore, that intense sensation had grown even stronger. Mid-autumn moon is here? Lu Ming revealed a hopeful expression. The three of them flew towards the planet. I'll bring you to a place. Go there and ask around. Perhaps you'll find some information. They landed on the planet and flew in a certain direction. Not long after, a vast expanse of mountains and rivers appeared before their eyes. Giant mountains rose from the ground, with palaces built on top of them. These palaces were extremely magnificent, and there was a statue in front of each palace. These statues were all mystical dragons. Furthermore, that feeling seemed to come from this mountain range. Now my primordial divine body has been transformed into the primordial divine dragon body. There's even a drop of primordial divine blood in my body that's related to the primordial divine dragon body. Could it be related to the divine dragon body? Lu Ming's mind kept turning. At this moment, the corners of Python Fu's mouth curled up into a sneer as he suddenly retreated. Stay here. Yuan Song noticed Python Fu's retreat. He roared and clawed at him. But at this moment, a saber suddenly appeared in front of Python Fu. The saber slashed at Yuan Song's huge hand. There was an earth-shattering roar. The saber shook violently and retreated. Yuan Song's huge hand was also cut off by the saber. The next moment, a burly man appeared in front of Python Fu. He was holding a rusty saber. 7th level Divine Lord. Yuan Song's face turned solemn. Hee, there's a newcomer. This is going to be fun. Cold laughter sounded one after another. Figures appeared one after another in the surroundings. Lu Ming swept his gaze and discovered that there were more than a dozen people. Each of their aura was extremely powerful. They were at least 6th level Divine Lords. There were even quite a few who were probably above 6th level Divine Lords. Python Fu. Lu Ming stared at Python Fu with an ugly expression. Clearly, they had been tricked by Python Fu. I didn't lie to you. This is indeed the Core Lands planet. Hee. Python Fu sneered. The two of you surrender yourselves. Be our slaves for 10 million years and we'll let you go. 10 million years? That's too little. At least 100 million years. The surrounding people laughed and stared at Lu Ming and company like cats staring at mice. Then they closed in on Lu Ming. Battle Ancestor, leave quickly. I'll hold them back. Yuan Song roared. Then his body changed rapidly. He displayed the primordial divine body and turned into a giant ape. At the same time, he displayed the phantom battle art and raised his combat strength to the extreme. Bang! Yuan Song suddenly attacked. Both fists blasted out consecutively, blasting toward the burly man wielding the battle blade. It's the primordial divine body. This guy is tough. Several exclamations sounded in succession. That burly man wielding the battle blade roared, and also raised his aura to the extreme. The battle blade slashed out continuously. Immediately, more than a dozen blade lights appeared, slashing toward Yuan Kong. More than a dozen violent rumbles sounded in succession. Force overflowed. Fist force and blade chi swept out in all directions. Following that, the blade lights vibrated. More than a dozen blade lights collapsed virtually at the same time. That burly man wielding the battle blade retreated repeatedly. Go! Yuan Song roared and rushed out of the encirclement together with Lu Ming. Want to leave? Stop right there for me. Don't think about leaving today. The others roared and chased after Lu Ming and company. Aura erupted. Lu Ming discovered in shock that there were at least 5 people whose cultivation reached 7th level Divine Lords. There were actually so many terrifying powerhouses in the Lost Galaxy. Go that way. Lu Ming roared. Leading Yuan Song, he rushed in the direction of the palace. The other party had too many experts. If they rushed outside, they definitely could not escape the other party's pursuit. He had a feeling that if they rushed toward the palace area, there might be a turning point. In an instant, they rushed into the mountains. At that moment, the people behind them suddenly stopped. They no longer dared to chase after them. They all revealed looks of fear. Not good. Lu Ming had a bad premonition in his heart. The other party did not dare to pursue. Could it be that this place was dangerous? Otherwise, why would the other party not dare to chase inside? Chapter 35:14. How dare you disturb my cultivation? You're courting death. At this moment, a cold voice came from a palace beside Lu Ming and the rest. Then, a huge palm reached out from the palace and grabbed at Lu Ming and Yuan Kong. The palm covered the sky and was incomparably huge. Moreover, there was an extremely powerful aura that completely locked onto Lu Ming and the rest. Be careful, combat ancestor. Yuan Song roared and stepped forward. He used all his strength and threw out more than 100 punches in an instant. More than 100 fist seals finally converged into a single fist seal and bombarded the palm. Boom! A terrifying explosion rang out as the palm violently trembled. In the end, with a bang, it exploded. However, the fist print that Yuan Song threw out also exploded at the same time. Yuan Song's body shook violently and he retreated continuously. Then he spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale. Yuan Song, are you alright? Lu Ming asked hurriedly. I'm fine. Yuan Song wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked at the palace with an extremely solemn expression. 8th level Divine Lord. After exchanging a blow, he discovered that the existence in the palace was actually an 8th level Divine Lord. So you've cultivated the primordial divine body. Your combat strength is not bad. Looks like I'll have to take action personally. A cold voice came from the palace. As soon as the voice fell, Lu Ming only saw a phantom flash and a figure appeared outside the palace. It was a white-haired old man with a cold gaze. Senior, we're just passing by. We didn't mean to disturb you. Lu Ming cupped his fists. I don't care if you're passing by or not. If you disturb my cultivation, you'll die. The old man's eyes were cold and revealed a strong murderous intent. These guys are all twisted in their hearts. Lu Ming was speechless. He felt that the people here were extremely violent, unreasonable, and twisted in their hearts. They wanted to attack and kill at the slightest provocation. Lu Ming could understand. These people were famous powerhouses in the outside world. However, after entering the Lost Galaxy, they could not get out. They would be trapped here forever with no hope in sight. They could only wait for death here. Naturally, they would feel irritable and their hearts would be distorted. Swoosh. After the old man finished speaking, he threw out a palm and pressed down on Yuan Kong. The ape follower roared and did his best to resist. However, even if Yuan Song cultivated the primordial divine body and had the augmentation of the ghost battle art, his battle prowess was so strong that ordinary existences of the same level wouldn't be a match for him. However, the other party was an 8th level divine lord. No matter how strong Yuan Song was, he still wasn't a match for him. After barely managing to withstand a few blows, he was severely injured. Little guy, I won't kill you. I'll cripple you and let you linger on with your last breath. The old man then looked at Lu Ming. His other withered hand reached out to grab Lu Ming. Don't even think about it. Lu Ming roared. No matter how strong the other party was, he would not allow himself to be captured. He would resist to the end. Roar. At this moment, Lu Ming activated all of his strength. His primordial divine blood was also activated. His body rapidly expanded and turned into a huge divine dragon. His 9 claws stepped on the air, causing the void to tremble. What a powerful aura. A peak divine king actually has such a powerful aura. He's a divine dragon, a 9-clawed dragon. In this world, there's actually a 9-clawed dragon? No, it's not a 9-clawed dragon. It's the primordial divine body. This kid cultivated the primordial divine body. The people outside the mountain shouted in shock. In front of the palace, the old man was also shocked. Then his eyes revealed a look of greed. Primordial divine dragon body. Ha ha ha, if I get this kid, I might be able to find a way out. The old man was ecstatic. His hand grabbed down even more firmly. Roar. Lu Ming roared and resisted frantically. But at this moment, there was a change. In front of the palace, there was a divine dragon statue. At this moment, the divine dragon statue suddenly moved. It let out a dragon roar and rushed into the sky. The dragon claws stepped on the air and slammed into the old man's large hand. Boom. There was a violent explosion. That hand was blocked. However, cracks appeared on the divine dragon statue. Lu Ming was stunned. He was a little confused. Why did the divine dragon statue move? It seemed to have some kind of resonance with the primordial divine blood in his body. The divine dragon statue here had a spirit. This kid can actually move the divine dragon statue. Ha ha ha, it might really be useful. The old man was shocked at first. Then he was ecstatic. His aura erupted and he grabbed at Lu Ming again. Roar. The divine dragon statue continued to roar and pounced on the old man. There was another explosion. The old man's hand was blocked, but there were more cracks on the divine dragon statue. What should I do? If this goes on, I won't be able to block more than a few moves. Oh right, there are divine dragon statues in front of the other palaces. If I can mobilize them, I can definitely suppress this old man. Lu Ming's mind raced. He thought of the statues in front of the other palaces. There was a palace on every mountain in this mountain. In front of each palace, there was a divine dragon statue. There were dozens of palaces in total. Lu Ming was thinking of how to mobilize those divine dragon statues. Suddenly boom, boom, boom. Powerful auras erupted from those palaces one after another. These auras were incomparably terrifying. They soared into the sky like smoke signals. Following that, figures flashed. A figure actually rushed out from each palace. The aura of each figure was incomparably shocking. The weakest one was not weaker than the old man from before. All of them were existences above the 8th level Divine Lord realm. There were a total of more than 30 people. Lu Ming was stunned. Yuan Song was also stunned. They were too shocked. Their hearts were in turmoil, and they could not calm down. There were actually so many powerhouses here. How was this possible? More than 30 existences above the 8th level Divine Lord realm. Even if all the powerhouses in the entire Taishu dynasty were added up, there would not be too many. Where did these people come from? Lu Ming dared to bet that these powerhouses were definitely not from the Taishu dynasty, the barbarian race, or the Tianyi sacred dynasty. This was because a Divine Lord realm expert could only live for 10 stellar years at most. In other words, these people had entered the Lost Galaxy within these 10 stellar years. If so many powerhouses from the Taishu dynasty, the barbarian race, and the Tianyi sacred dynasty had entered within these 10 stellar years, it would have caused a huge commotion. Such powerhouses were all famous big shots. It was difficult not to cause a commotion when they went missing. Therefore, these people were definitely not from the Taishu dynasty, the barbarian race, or the Tianyi sacred dynasty. It was very likely that they were from a more distant force. Then Lu Ming and Yuan Song's heart sank. So many powerhouses had appeared all of a sudden. How could they fight against them? The difference was too great. Primitive divine dragon body. What an amazing primitive divine dragon body. This kid, could it be that he has already condensed the primitive divine blood? The Lost Galaxy was a secret place of the Divine Dragon clan. With this kid, maybe we can get out. These people stared at Lu Ming. Their eyes lit up, revealing a fiery light. Chapter 35:15. I was the one who discovered this kid first. The old man who started yelled and stared at the others. So what if you discovered him? I want this kid. Another old woman said coldly. Her aura was oppressive and incomparably terrifying, even stronger than the old man from before. 9th level Divine Lord. Lu Ming revealed a look of shock. This old woman was definitely a 9th level Divine Lord existence. In the Taishu dynasty, Lu Ming had felt the aura of a 9th level Divine Lord powerhouse before. The two were similar. You want him? Why should you want him? I even said that I want him. A deep voice sounded. A burly man sneered, not afraid of the old woman at all. Obviously, he was also a figure of the same level. Lu Ming felt a headache. This time it was really mysterious. He really walked into a dragon's den. What should I do now? Do I have to take out the purple copper coffin again? That's a way to perish together. Lu Ming's mind turned quickly. He was unwilling to give up. He had not found the autumn moon yet. Oh right, the divine dragon statues, and that feeling came from these mountains. After coming here, the feeling of these mountains became stronger. It's as if there are divine dragons residing in these mountains. Thinking of this, Lu Ming's heart stirred. If he could mobilize all the divine dragon statues, he might be able to fight. Immediately, Lu Ming desperately urged the blood in his body, wanting to mobilize those statues, but there was no response. Could it be that the distance is too far? What should I do? Oh right, primordial divine dragon horn, give it a try. Lu Ming thought of the primordial divine dragon horn. With a thought, the primordial divine dragon horn appeared. At this time, the surrounding powerhouses were confronting each other. The atmosphere was getting more and more tense. I think we should take down this kid together and study him. If we can find a way to get out, we can all go out together. Someone suggested. All right, let's do that. Then let's do it. These people reached a consensus and planned to take down Lu Ming first to study him together. As for whether Lu Ming agreed or not, they could not be bothered. Why would they care if a mere divine king agreed or not? Many pairs of eyes stared at Lu Ming at the same time. Let's do it. Lu Ming grabbed the primordial divine dragon horn and blew into it. Woo woo woo. Following this, the sound of an ancient horn could be heard. It was as if it had traveled through endless time and space. In an instant, it spread throughout the entire area. Roar roar roar. In the next moment, a series of dragon roars echoed in the sky. The divine dragon statues in front of the palace roared toward the sky and moved. Dozens of divine dragon statues flew toward Lu Ming. What happened? Those experts were shocked and subconsciously stepped aside. Then those mystical dragon statues all appeared around Lu Ming, protecting Lu Ming in the middle. It really works. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He had not expected the immemorial divine dragon horn to have such an effect. It could even command the divine dragon statue. Could this be the true usage of the ancient divine dragon horn? It seemed like he had been blind in the past to use the primordial divine dragon horn as a weapon. It was a complete waste. The surrounding experts were stunned for a moment. Then their eyes lit up. This kid can actually control the divine dragon statue. All the more we have to take him down for research. That's right. Perhaps we can really find a way out. Those experts whispered. Then they made their move. The void trembled and exploded. Terrifying attacks pressed towards Lu Ming. Of course, they were pressing towards those divine dragon statues. They did not want to kill Lu Ming just like that. How would they research after killing Lu Ming? Roar roar roar. All the divine dragon statues roared. Their bodies emitted a resplendent radiance as they soared into the sky. Dragon claws tore through the air and clawed at those attacks. This space shook violently and a huge explosion occurred. It was completely annihilated. However, those surrounding experts, some of them were really strong. Their cultivation reached 9th level divine lord, their strength heaven-shocking. Some divine dragon statues could not withstand it at all. A series of cracks directly appeared on their bodies, then they exploded. In an instant, more than a dozen statues exploded. If this continued, these divine dragon statues would definitely not be able to block these experts. Continue. Lu Ming circulated his divine power crazily. Then he blew the primordial divine dragon bugle. He felt that there was a force in every mountain peak. The reason why Lu Ming sensed it previously was because of this force in the mountain peak. If he could summon it, he could reverse the current situation. Woo 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 woo. The ancient bugle sounded, becoming more and more intense. Finally, it broke through the clouds. Those divine dragon statues roared and charged towards these experts like they had gone mad. At the same time, there was a strange change in the mountains and rivers. Every mountain and river suddenly emitted a resplendent radiance. Roar. Following that, a dragon's roar sounded, penetrating gold and cracking stone. The next moment, a divine dragon suddenly rushed out of the mountain peak closest to Lu Ming. This divine dragon was pitch black all over. There were 6 dragon claws on its abdomen. This was a 6-clawed divine dragon. At the scene, everyone was stunned. A 6-clawed divine dragon actually appeared in the mountain peak? What was going on? They had stayed here for so many years and actually did not discover it? No, wait, this isn't a real divine dragon. It's not a body of flesh and blood, but a soul body. This is a dragon soul. Someone cried out in surprise. That's right, this was indeed a dragon soul. Lu Ming had long seen through it. He did not expect that inside this mountain peak, there was actually a dragon soul that was summoned by his primordial divine dragon bugle. Roar! The dragon soul let out a long roar, its gaze like lightning, emitting a vast dragon pressure. Then, it pounced over toward an old man. This old man was that old man who made a move against Lu Ming at the very beginning. An enormous dragon claw directly grabbed down toward this old man. The old man was startled and blasted a palm out with all his might. A terrifying palm print pressed over toward the dragon soul. Bang! An intense rumble. That old man's body retreated explosively, his complexion turning pale. CSISI. At the scene, many people sucked in a cold breath. This old man was a genuine 8th level divine lord. And this dragon soul actually repelled the old man with one move. This kind of strength was also too terrifying. The crux was that this was just a dragon soul. After a divine dragon died, the undying battle soul left behind did not have intelligence. Furthermore, no idea how long had passed. Such a long time had passed. A dragon soul actually still had such powerful combat strength. This was inconceivable. What kind of strength should this dragon soul have when it was alive? It absolutely surpassed the divine lord realm. Otherwise, it was absolutely impossible for just a dragon soul to be so strong. Many people's eyes revealed looks of astonishment. Legend has it that this place is a secret base of the Divine Dragon clan. There's a Divine Dragon branch residing here. Sure enough, it's right. Someone whispered, very shocked. Woo woo woo. The ancient bugle horn sound continued to sound out. Following that, astonishing dragon roars came from several more mountain peaks. Chapter 35:16. Several more mountain peaks emitted resplendent light. Dragon roars rang out, and then several huge black divine dragons charged out of the mountain peaks. These divine dragons were also dragon souls. They were pitch black and had 6 dragon claws on their abdomens. They were all 6-clawed divine dragons. Several dragon souls appeared and directly pounced at Lu Ming. Not good. Quickly stop him. Attack. Some of the surrounding powerhouses roared. Their divine power soared to the sky, forming several terrifying attacks that pressed down on Lu Ming. But dragon roars rang out. Those divine dragon statues and the dragon soul that appeared first did their best to block these people's attacks. And the dragon souls that appeared later had already arrived. Their dragon claws were incomparably sharp. They directly tore through space and grabbed at those experts. Terrifying rumbles rang out. This region was constantly exploding, setting off destructive storms. However, this planet was very strange. The ground was incomparably hard, and the mountains and rivers were even more so. When the terrifying destructive force landed on the ground, although the ground and rocks were constantly exploding, the explosions only left small craters. It had to be known that those experts that appeared later were at least 8th level divine lords. Just how terrifying was this battle? If it were outside, it would have long destroyed this planet. It could be seen that this region was very extraordinary. Wu Wu Wu. Lu Ming constantly blew the primordial divine dragon horn. To be honest, blowing the horn consumed a lot of divine power. The divine power stored in his star core had already been exhausted. But there was an endless stream of divine power coming out of the quantum character art, allowing Lu Ming's divine power to always be abundant. As the primordial divine dragon horn rang out, many mountain peaks were filled with radiance. Dragon roars rang out incessantly. Pitch-black dragon souls appeared one after another. Each of these dragon souls was a 6-clawed divine dragon. Furthermore, they were all extremely powerful. They were just dragon souls, but they could actually suppress 8th level divine lords. Some dragon souls were even stronger and could actually suppress 9th level divine lords. In just a moment, at least 20 dragon souls appeared. With so many souls unleashing a torrential barrage of attacks on those experts were actually forced into a disadvantageous position. Outside the mountains, the faces of Python Fu and the others were pale. Cold sweat dripped down their foreheads. They were truly stunned by this scene. Lu Ming was actually able to summon a dragon soul. Fortunately, Lu Ming's target was not them. Otherwise, they would already be dead. Brat, shut up, shut up. An old woman roared. Her strength was very astonishing, being a 9th level divine lord. She rushed towards Lu Ming, wanting to take down Lu Ming. However, a huge dragon claw reached out to grab her. The two of them exchanged blows, and the old woman retreated quickly. Then, the divine dragon swung its tail at her. Bang! The old woman screamed and retreated quickly, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Roar, roar, roar. Dragon roars continued to resound from the remaining 10 or so mountain peaks. Then dragon souls rushed out one after another. There were a total of 36 mountains, and each mountain had a dragon soul rushing out. 36 dragon souls and the remaining divine dragon statues were enough to completely crush those experts. Ah! With a scream, an 8th level divine lord was forcefully torn apart by a dragon soul and died on the spot. The remaining people were afraid. They desperately charged, wanting to escape from this place. However, the dragon souls surrounded them, blocking this area. Old bear, why aren't you making a move? We're all going to die. Suddenly someone roared. Boom. In the next moment, a terrifying aura came from the depths of the mountains. The moment this aura appeared, heaven and earth became heavy and incomparably oppressive. Then a loud roar came out. A huge bear appeared in the depths of the mountains. Yes, a huge bear that was tens of thousands of meters tall. Its entire body was covered in pitch-black fur, like a mountain. Its speed was very fast. With a step, it appeared nearby. A huge bear paw slapped toward a dragon soul. Boom! That dragon soul was directly sent flying, crashing into a mountain. The mountain shook and gravel flew everywhere. Lu Ming saw that the dragon soul's dragon claw shattered, as if it had disappeared into thin air. What terrifying strength! This is a quasi-emperor. Lu Ming's pupils suddenly constricted in incomparable shock. This black bear was actually a quasi-emperor existence. Lu Ming had seen the battle between the Great Void Saint Emperor and the Barbaric Emperor. Both sides' auras were about the same, both earth-shattering. There was actually a quasi-emperor residing here. It was really terrifying. A quasi-emperor was much stronger than a 9th level divine lord. You can actually summon dragon souls. Interesting. The giant bear opened its mouth, its voice rumbling. It stepped forward, pressing toward Lu Ming. However, a few dragon souls pounced toward the giant bear. Although the dragon souls are strong, they're only equivalent to a divine lord. They're not my match. The giant bear shouted coldly. Its paws slapped out continuously. With each slap, a dragon soul was sent flying. No dragon soul could stop the giant bear. It kept approaching Lu Ming. Woo woo woo. Lu Ming blew continuously. Those dragon souls moved according to Lu Ming's will, gathering together and rushing toward the giant bear. With so many dragon souls attacking continuously, the power was also very astonishing. The giant bear was blocked for a moment too. What are you all still in a daze for? Attack together. The giant bear roared loudly at the others. The others were akin to waking up from a dream. Just now, when they saw the giant bear appear, they even thought that the giant bear could handle it alone. They were just about to take action and take down Lu Ming. But right at this time, a dragon roar suddenly came from this stretch of mountains and rivers. This dragon roar was exceptionally terrifying, shaking until the entire universe started trembling, completely suppressing the other dragon roars. Outside the mountains and rivers, Mang Fu and the rest of the 6th level Divine Lord Existence's bodies trembled greatly like they were electrocuted, then spewed out a mouthful of blood. 6th level Divine Lords were directly injured by a dragon roar. 7th level Divine Lords were still a little better, but their complexions were also pale. Only 8th level Divine Lords and 9th level Divine Lords were unaffected, but their expressions also changed drastically, looking in the direction where the dragon roar came from one after another. That was because this dragon roar gave them a lot of pressure. Roar. That terrifying dragon roar continued to emit. The next instant, this stretch of mountains and rivers was shining. Following that, a dragon claw reached out from the mountains and rivers. This dragon claw was pitch black. The dragon scales on it were all clearly visible. But one could still tell that this was not a body of flesh and blood, but a dragon soul. When this dragon claw reached out, it directly clawed over toward the giant bear. The giant bear's expression changed drastically, its huge eyes revealing a hint of astonishment. With a roar, its body became even bigger. A pair of bear paws smacked out continuously, colliding together with the dragon claw. But the next instant, with two cracking sounds, the giant bear's bare paws directly broke apart. Chapter 35:17. The Quasi-Emperor Realm giant bear's palms were broken when it tried to block the dragon claw. It was bent 180 degrees and blood was gushing out of it. The giant bear's body was like a giant meteorite as it crashed to the ground. Boom. Gravel flew everywhere and a giant pit was formed on the ground. The giant bear coughed out blood. Everyone was stunned and their eyes widened. They could not believe what they had just seen. The giant bear was an invincible Quasi-Emperor Realm existence. How could it be injured so easily? The opponent was only a dragon claw. What kind of existence was that? A divine emperor. It was definitely a real divine emperor. Otherwise it would not be so strong. There was a dragon soul that had reached the divine emperor realm. It was terrifying. Boom. That dragon claw once again clawed at the giant bear. The attack was incomparably fierce. The giant bear roared and erupted with all its strength, pushing its strength to the limit. The giant bear was a Quasi-Emperor Realm expert. It was definitely strong in all aspects. Its divine origin force had already awakened 4 times, and it had also mastered the secret technique of the origin force. However, it was useless. The giant bear let out a miserable shriek when the dragon claw clawed at it. All of its attacks and defenses collapsed, and it crashed to the ground again. This time, half of its body exploded. It was seriously injured and on the verge of death. Roar. The dragon roared and the dragon claw continued to claw at the giant bear. Surrender. I am willing to surrender. Please spare my life. The giant bear let out a miserable shriek. It was a Quasi-Emperor Realm expert. Even if it was trapped here, it did not want to die. Once a Quasi-Emperor Realm expert took the last step, he would be able to enter the Divine Emperor Realm. Perhaps he would be able to get out of here after entering the Divine Emperor Realm. Woo. Suddenly the sound of the horn changed. The dragon claw stopped abruptly above the giant bear's head. Otherwise, the giant bear would have exploded. The giant bear heaved a sigh of relief. It almost peed in its pants. What about you guys? Lu Ming looked at the rest of the people. Those people's facial expression changed drastically. I am willing to surrender. I am also willing to surrender. The other experts also cried out one after another. What a joke. That dragon claw was too terrifying. There were other dragon souls as well. If they did not surrender, they would all die. Swear. Swear that you will surrender and not attack us. Lu Ming said coldly. The reason why he didn't continue to let the dragon soul kill these people was because he wanted to get information about Autumn Moon from these people. Secondly, the strength of these people was extremely shocking. If he could get out later, he would be able to borrow the strength of these people. The chances of him overturning Jingyu's case would be much higher. That was why he spared the other party's life. I swear on my life essence that I will never attack you again. The giant bear was the first to cry out. I swear as well. Following that, the others also swore that they would never lay a hand on Lu Ming and the others. In the end, Lu Ming looked outside the mountains. Plop Python Fu's face turned pale, and his body went soft. He actually knelt down and cried out, Young master, please spare me. This lowly one had eyes but failed to see. Young master, please spare me. Python Fu was almost scared to death. Lu Ming's miraculous abilities were far beyond his imagination. He had already been trapped in this place for over a star year. He didn't even know that the dragon statues here could move, and that each of these mountains could summon a dragon soul that was shockingly strong. Now, in his eyes, Lu Ming was simply a primordial dragon that had come back to life. This time, I'll spare your lives. Lu Ming said coldly. Many thanks, young master. Python Fu was overjoyed and repeatedly kowtowed. The other 7th level and 6th level divine sovereigns also expressed their thanks. At this moment, with a thought, Lu Ming put away the primordial divine dragon horn. Once he put away the primordial divine dragon horn, the giant dragon claw also retracted. The other dragon souls also flew towards those mountains, rushed into those mountains and disappeared. Whoosh! Only then did all the experts present let out a long sigh of relief. Their gazes toward Lu Ming were filled with dread. Young master, how should I address you? A round-faced old man who looked rather amiable flew over and said with a smile, "Lu Ming." Lu Ming replied, "So it's young Master Lu. This old man is Zhu Tai." Zhu Tai cupped his fists and continued, "May I know how young Master Lu came to the Lost Star River? Are you also looking for the Divine Dragon Race's treasure?" The Divine Dragon Race's treasure? Lu Ming was flabbergasted. He then shook his head saying, "No, I'm here to find someone. Everyone, has anyone seen this girl before?" After saying that, Lu Ming took out a portrait from his interspatial ring. The portrait was of the mid-autumn moon. "It's her." When Lu Ming opened the portrait, almost everyone was taken aback and exclaimed one after another, "You've all seen her before?" Lu Ming was overjoyed. Looking at these people's expressions, he knew that they had definitely seen the mid-autumn moon. "Yes, I've seen her before. Over 100 years ago, this girl came here." Everyone spoke. "Then where is she now?" Lu Ming asked joyfully. "She left. She left over 100 years ago." Everyone spoke. "What do you mean she left? Are you kidding me?" Lu Ming was shocked, then his face turned gloomy. Once one entered the Lost Star River, they couldn't leave. There were so many powerful existences here, but none of them left. How could the mid-autumn moon leave? "It's true, we're not lying to you." At this moment, the giant bear walked over. He recovered for a while, and the half of his body that was broken had recovered, but his aura was still weak. "That girl went to an ancient passage and left this place," the giant bear said. "If the ancient passage left this place, then why didn't you leave?" Lu Ming said coldly, still in disbelief. "Young Master Lu, what we said is true. If you want to explain, you can only start from the origin of the Lost Star River," the giant bear said. Lu Ming did not say anything and listened quietly. "It is said that this Lost Star River is a base of the Divine Dragon Clan. It's a branch of the Divine Dragon Clan, the place where the six-clawed black dragon lived. However, later on, some top clans joined forces to attack the Divine Dragon Clan. The six-clawed black dragon clan went to the mother planet of the Divine Dragon Clan to rescue them. I believe young Master Lu already knows what happened after that. The Divine Dragon Clan was almost wiped out, and the six-clawed black dragon clan never returned. Even the powerful existences followed the tracks and killed all the six-clawed black dragons here. However, there are legends that the powerful existences didn't fancy the treasures of the six-clawed black dragon clan and left them behind. Therefore, many people crossed the endless Star River to come here to search for treasures, but ended up being trapped here. However, this place has an ancient passage in the starry sky, a teleportation formation that can lead to the outside world. However, it was sealed, and we couldn't open it no matter how hard we tried. Until more than 100 years ago, the girl you mentioned actually opened the teleportation formation and left this place," the giant bear explained in detail. Chapter 35:18. Since the teleportation platform has been activated, why didn't you leave? Lu Ming asked again. That's because the teleportation platform has been destroyed. The moment that girl teleported away, it self-destructed. Perhaps she used the wrong method to activate it. The giant bear sighed. "Where is the teleportation platform? Bring me there." Lu Ming said. "It's in the depths of this mountain. Please." The giant bear waved his hand, and everyone brought Lu Ming to the depths of the mountain. Sure enough, there was a huge formation platform here. It was really huge, with a radius of several thousand li. However, many places had exploded, and many people's runes had been destroyed. Lu Ming closed his eyes and spread out his spiritual sense. After a while, Lu Ming suddenly opened his eyes. It was Autumn Moon's aura. That's right, he sensed Autumn Moon's aura. There was no mistake. The giant bear was right. Autumn Moon must have been here. Even though more than 100 years had passed, there was still a remnant of Autumn Moon's aura. Although it was very faint, ordinary people wouldn't be able to sense it. However, Lu Ming was too familiar with Autumn Moon. Even if it was very faint, he could still sense it. Can this teleportation platform not be repaired? Lu Ming asked the giant bear and the others. It can't be repaired. At least with our level, it's hard to repair. The giant bear and the others shook their heads. Senior Bone Devil, do you have a way to repair it? Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Bone Devil. No. Bone Devil's answer was very simple. He then said, this teleportation platform is very ingenious. It's unique to the Divine Dragon Clan. Only the Divine Dragon Clan can teleport. Other people can't teleport at all. And that girl, Autumn Moon, received the inheritance of the Divine Eye Lord of Heaven. She might have mastered some unique techniques and forcibly activated this teleportation platform. Although she was teleported out, the platform was also destroyed. It's hard to repair it. It can't be repaired? Lu Ming was disappointed. It wasn't easy for him to find this place and find the whereabouts of Autumn Moon. Unfortunately, Autumn Moon had already left. Everyone, do you know where this teleportation platform leads to? Lu Ming asked the giant bear and the others. It's hard to say. It might lead to a secret base of the Divine Dragon Clan. But most likely, it leads to the mother planet of the Dragon Clan. The giant bear said. The mother planet of the Dragon Clan? Lu Ming was puzzled. The mother planet of the dragon race is still around. Yes. The giant bear said. The primitive universe is boundless. Not all planets are the same. Some planets are very special. For example, some of the top races on the list of 10,000 primitive tribes all have their own home planets. Their home planets are not only huge, but also very special and difficult to destroy. Not to mention divine emperors, even divine emperors or stronger existences can't destroy them. I see. Lu Ming nodded. The mother planet of the Dragon Clan? It seemed that he would have to make a trip there in the future. Of course, that was under the premise that he could get out. By the way, why did you attack me before? Lu Ming asked again. Because you've cultivated the primordial divine dragon body. The Lost Star River is a base of the Dragon Clan. Since you've cultivated the primordial divine dragon body, you might be able to find a way out. That's why we attacked you. Zhu Tai smiled awkwardly. However, we didn't expect you to be able to summon the dragon soul here. Then, our chances of getting out will be greater. The dragon soul here is an undying battle soul left behind by a six-clawed black dragon that fell countless years ago. It probably still has its instincts. If you can control the dragon soul to lead the way, we might really be able to get out. The giant bear added. The others' eyes were already glowing. They came from different forces in the universe. They wanted to find the treasure of the six-clawed black dragon, but they didn't find it. Instead, they were trapped here. They really wanted to get out. Otherwise, they would die of old age here. Control the dragon soul to lead the way. Lu Ming's eyes also lit up. He also didn't want to be trapped here. This was a good idea. All right. Next, I'll study how to make the dragon soul lead the way. By the way, the Lost Star River, is it just you guys? Lu Ming asked. Not only that, there are some in other places, but there aren't many. After all, those who can cross the universe to come here are all people with high cultivation. Those with low cultivation don't dare to come here. The weakest among them is a fifth-layer divine monarch. Zhu Tai explained. And Lu Ming nodded and said, all right, I'm going to study it. Don't disturb me. All right. We definitely won't disturb you. If anyone disturbs you, I'll slap them to death. The giant bear was overjoyed and almost bowed. Its eyes swept around, revealing a ferocious glint. The others naturally nodded repeatedly. How could they possibly disturb Lu Ming? Lu Ming immediately sat down at the peak of a mountain and took out some divine crystals to absorb. After a period of time, Lu Ming's condition recovered to his peak. Then he summoned the primordial divine dragon horn and blew it. After several breaths of time, the mountain below him began to shine. Then a dragon soul flew out. Lu Ming tried to use the horn to control the dragon soul. Unfortunately, he could only barely control the dragon soul to attack or stop. This seemed to be the dragon soul's instinct. As for controlling the dragon soul to do other things, he couldn't do it. I can't do it. The horn has all kinds of different tones. I just haven't figured out how to use it. If I can figure it out, it should be possible. Lu Ming pondered. Then he changed the way he blew and continued to study it. In the distance, the giant bear, Zhu Tai, and the others were eagerly watching. Don't worry. Lu Ming's core secret art is very strange. A horn that can summon a divine dragon is something I've never heard of before. It's so mysterious. It should be possible to control. We just have to wait patiently. The giant bear comforted them. In truth, he was also incomparably anxious. In the following time, Lu Ming carefully studied how to use the ancient divine dragon horn. Since Autumn Moon had already left, he had to find a way to leave the Lost Star River and return to the Taishu dynasty. He had to deal with Jingyu's matter as quickly as possible. Then he would go find Autumn Moon and Xian Yanqing. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had been studying it for half a year. After half a year, he found that the ancient divine dragon horn was extremely mysterious and unpredictable. When blowing the horn, he needed to pour in divine energy. Depending on the amount of divine energy poured in, the horn's sound would also be different. Naturally, the control of the dragon soul would also be different. After half a year of trial and error, Lu Ming finally succeeded in his research. He was able to control a dragon soul and fly around with it. If I can bring all these dragon souls out, just how strong would I be? Lu Ming's heart was burning. Chapter 35:19. Lu Ming was really tempted. The combat power of these dragon souls was too strong, especially the most powerful dragon soul. It was highly likely to be at the Divine Emperor realm. If he could bring it out, he would be able to defeat the entire Taishu sacred court. However, Gu Mo immediately poured a bucket of cold water on him. Don't think too much. It's impossible to bring it out. It's already very good that the dragon souls could bring you to the border of the lost galaxy. The reason why they could survive is because this is the base of the six-clawed divine dragon. Once they leave the lost galaxy, they will soon dissipate and completely disappear in the universe. Guemo said. Lu Ming suddenly became like a frosted eggplant. Then let's go. Lu Ming smiled, then got up and stepped out. Yuan Song followed behind Lu Ming. Young Master Lu Ming, did you succeed in your research? Zhu Tai immediately came up to him with a face full of smiles. During this period of time, there were even more people outside the mountains. In total, there were more than 100 people. People from other places on this planet had gathered, waiting for the results of Lu Ming's research. At this moment, everyone was looking at Lu Ming eagerly. It's a success, Lu Ming said. All of a sudden, everyone's eyes lit up. Their eyes were shining brightly. If it's a success, they would be able to go out. They were so excited that their bodies trembled. They were really too excited. They had waited for so many years and finally, they saw hope. However, Lu Ming sneered and said, "But why should I bring you out?" Everyone was stunned. Then they looked at each other. Yes, why should Lu Ming bring them out? Young Master Lu Ming, please bring us out. If you have any requests, just say it. Zhu Tai said with a trembling body. Yes, young Master Lu Ming, if you have any requests, just say it. We will definitely fulfill them. We will die 1,000 times. Everyone spoke one after another, wishing that they could dig out their hearts and show it to Lu Ming. If you want me to bring you out, you have to promise me one thing, Lu Ming said. Young Master Lu Ming, just say it. Not bad, not bad. Everyone said one after another. I encountered some difficulties outside. Have you heard of the Taishu dynasty? Following which, Lu Ming briefly explained what he was going to do in the Taishu sacred court. You just have to promise me that you'll stay by my side for the time being. Once I'm done with the Taishu dynasty and overturn the verdict for Prince Jingyu, you can leave. How about it? Lu Ming said. Honestly speaking, this was a terrifying force. Because the weakest was a 5th-level divine lord. If he were to bring her out, she would definitely be able to turn the world upside down and become a powerful helper for him. He didn't want to miss such a good opportunity. The strongest person in the Taishu dynasty is a quasi-emperor. It's only a sub-universe level power. That's easy, I agree. I agree as well. Immediately, everyone agreed. The strongest person in the Taishu dynasty was only a quasi-emperor. Although this kind of power was also called a universe-level power, in fact, it could only be considered a sub-universe level power. True universe-level powers all had godly emperors in charge. It wasn't difficult for sub-universe-level powers without godly emperors to do so. Moreover, they had been in the Lost Galaxy for so long, they didn't mind staying by Lu Ming's side for a while longer. Immediately, these people swore on their life origin that after leaving, they would stay by Lu Ming's side until they helped Lu Ming complete his mission in the Taishu dynasty. Alright, let's go then. Lu Ming smiled, then condensed the immemorial divine dragon horn and blew it. Soon a dragon soul flew out. Lu Ming didn't plan to summon a few dragon souls. One was enough. Moreover, a dragon soul was easier to control and could go further. Woo-woo, the ancient horn sounded. Lu Ming stood on the dragon soul's head. The dragon soul let out a dragon roar and flew into the distance. The others followed behind the dragon soul. The dragon soul flew completely according to its instincts. It flew left and right, forward and backward, up and down without any pattern. If others were to look for it, they wouldn't be able to find it. Their speed wasn't fast. Just like this, they flew for over a month. Suddenly, the dragon soul stopped. We're here. Lu Ming glanced around. He had a feeling that as long as they flew forward a bit more, they would arrive and be able to leave. Everyone, if we continue flying forward, we should be able to leave, Lu Ming said. Let me try. Someone couldn't hold back and excitedly said, then rushed out. Before they could fly out 100 miles, the space in front of them suddenly rippled like water. Then that person directly disappeared. Many people's eyes lit up. Disappearing meant that they had left. Everyone, let's go. Lu Ming smiled, then stepped down from the dragon soul's head. Roar. The dragon soul let out a dragon roar, then turned around and flew back, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Unfortunately, I can't bring them out. Lu Ming sighed. However, he was already very satisfied with being able to bring out Zhu Xiong, Zhu Tai, and the others. Swish. Swish. Lu Ming flew forward. He seemed to have passed through a thin film. In a flash, he discovered that he had already appeared in another universe in the starry sky. Looking back, he saw a huge galaxy in the distance, emitting starlight and slowly rotating. This was the Lost Galaxy. They had come out. Ha ha ha, I really came out, I really came out. The heavens didn't forsake me. Ha ha. Lu Ming was surrounded by Zhu Xiong, Zhu Tai, and the others. These people looked up to the sky and laughed excitedly. They had been trapped for so many years. Now that they were out, it was hard not to be excited. After a while, everyone finally calmed down. Young Master Lu Ming, thank you. Everyone bowed and cupped their fists to Lu Ming. They were very grateful in their hearts. No need to thank me. We're just exchanging conditions. Let's go, follow me to my station. But first, conceal your aura. Don't expose your cultivation. Lu Ming said. For the time being, these people couldn't be exposed. Otherwise, some people would be on guard. This power could only be effective if it caught people off guard. Then they went to the hidden dragon star of the heavenly chaos starfield. On the way, they encountered a group of barbarians. They wanted to stop them, but they were easily dealt with. After a while, Lu Ming and the others returned to the hidden dragon star. Yuan Huan and the others were naturally happy to see Lu Ming return. However, when Yuan Huan learned about the cultivation bases of the people Lu Ming had brought with him, he was dumbfounded. He was so agitated that he trembled. In his eyes, Lu Ming was a man of great fortune. Not only was he fine after entering the Lost Galaxy, but he had also brought out a group of terrifying experts. If this wasn't great fortune, then what was? However, when Yuan Huan regained his composure, he said something shocking. Chapter 35-20. Yuan Huan revealed a shocking piece of news. 3 months ago, the barbarian emperor had fallen. What? Lu Ming's eyes widened in disbelief. The barbarian emperor had fallen. During the Great Void Sacred Emperor's birthday banquet, the barbarian emperor had fought with the Great Void Sacred Emperor. That kind of strength was earth-shattering. Lu Ming remembered it clearly. The barbarian emperor was a boundary emperor, but he was much younger than the Great Void Sacred Emperor. How could he have fallen so suddenly? Lu Ming asked the question in his heart. It was said that the barbarian emperor had offended an expert from the Wu people and was assassinated by the Wu people. His head and heart were taken away. Yuan Huan said. An expert from the Wu people. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. During the Taishu dynasty's birthday banquet, an expert from the Wu people had appeared and attacked them with soul power. His methods were strange and unpredictable. If Blue Merchant had not blocked it, many of them would have been in danger. The Wu people were a true universe-level force and a member of the primitive 10,000 tribe list. They were extremely powerful and far beyond the barbarian tribe. Nobody knew how the barbarian emperor had offended an expert from the Wu people and was killed. Cooperating with such a terrifying race was like asking a tiger for its skin. If they were not careful, they would be devoured. Battle Ancestor, Etian had sent a message saying that the barbarian tribe was in chaos. A few princes were fighting for the throne. He wanted to secretly help one of the princes become the barbarian emperor. That way, he would be able to control more barbarian tribe forces for us to use. Yuan Huan said. That's a good idea. Send a message to Etian and tell him that I'll bring people to help him. Lu Ming said. After some time, Etian replied and said that there was no need. After all, the battle between the barbarian princes was very dangerous. It involved 8th level and 9th level divine lords, and even quasi-emperors. It was very dangerous. Etian is looking down on me. Lu Ming smiled. Obviously, Etian felt that the strongest person on Lu Ming's side was Yuan Huan. Even if he went, he wouldn't be of much help. Instead, it would put Lu Ming in danger. Tell Etian that I have a way to help him. This time, I will definitely go. Lu Ming said. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If he cooperated with Etian, he could push a barbarian prince he could control to the throne of the barbarian emperor. In the future, he would be able to borrow the power of the barbarian tribe. He felt that the Taishu dynasty was no longer peaceful. As the Taishu Saint Emperor neared the end of his lifespan, the various forces of the Taishu dynasty began to stir. Once the Taishu Saint Emperor died, there would be chaos. And if he wanted to reverse the verdict for Jingyu, the more power he had, the better. In the end, Etian gave in to Lu Ming and agreed to let Lu Ming go. Not long after, Etian brought Lu Ming to the barbarian tribe's territory through secret means. This time, Lu Ming brought 30 experts over. All of them were brought out from the Lost Galaxy. Giant Bear, the Boundary Emperor, naturally had to follow. In addition, there were a total of 5 9th-level Divine Monarchs. Zhu Tai was one of them. The rest were 8th-level Divine Monarchs. This was a terrifying force. They were covered in black robes to prevent the barbarian tribe from recognizing that they weren't from the barbarian tribe. Lan Shu. As soon as he arrived at Etian's battleship, Lu Ming saw Blue Merchant and was very excited. Blue Merchant also smiled. During this time, Blue Merchant had been staying with Etian. Lu Ming, why did you insist on coming? This time, the barbarian princes will fight for the throne. There will be a terrifying battle. It will be very dangerous. Etian sighed. This is a good opportunity for us to control the barbarian tribe. Of course, I have to help you. These are the helpers I brought. Lu Ming smiled and then pointed to Giant Bear and the others behind him. They were. Only then did Lan Shang and Etian take a closer look at Giant Bear and the others. With one look, their pupils suddenly shrank, revealing a horrified expression. Blue Merchant was a 9th-level Divine Monarch when he was at his peak. His strongest part was his soul. Now his soul power was even stronger than when he was at his peak. As for Etian, he was even stronger. He was the leader of the 3 generals under Jingyu and his cultivation had reached the Boundary Emperor realm. Thus, the 2 of them had extremely powerful sensing abilities. As soon as they sensed, they found that the people brought by Lu Ming all had strong and vigorous auras. Their vitality was as exuberant as a volcano. Experts, all of them were experts. In an instant, they judged that these people were at least 8th-level Divine Monarchs. Especially Giant Bear. He stood there like a star that would explode at any time. It was extremely terrifying. Boom. Etian involuntarily burst out with an aura that pressed towards Giant Bear. At the same time, Giant Bear instinctively burst out with an aura that collided with Etian's aura. Boom. In the middle of the collision of the 2 auras, The space was directly torn apart, creating a dark space. However, both of them controlled their auras very well. The energy did not overflow. Both of them retracted their auras as soon as they appeared and did not cause a big shock. Boundary Emperor. Etienne exclaimed in shock. Blue Merchant was not much better. Lu Ming was not only accompanied by a large group of top experts, but also a Boundary Emperor. This was a Boundary Emperor, who was already at the peak of forces like the Barbarian Tribe, Taishu Dynasty, and Tianyi Sacred Dynasty. There were not many such figures in the entire Taishu Dynasty. Apart from some hidden foundations, there were only a few Boundary Emperors on the surface. A quasi-emperor could play a decisive role in a battle. They finally understood that Lu Ming had to come. He only came because he had the confidence to do so. Good. Lu Ming, with them joining us, our chances of success will be greatly increased. Etienne was overjoyed. Etienne, what's your plan? Also, what's the current situation of the Barbarian Tribe? Lu Ming asked. The Barbarian Tribe was different from the Taishu Dynasty. The Barbarian Emperor was in his prime, so he did not appoint a crown prince. There was also no prince who could suppress everyone. Therefore, when the Barbarian Emperor suddenly fell, the competition among the princes was very intense. Among them, 3 princes were the most powerful. They were the eldest prince, the second prince, and the 5th prince. This was because these 3 princes each had the support of a Boundary Emperor. Etienne explained. Then which prince should we support? Lu Ming asked. Not any of the 3 princes, because these 3 princes are all very ambitious and talented. If we push them to the throne, we won't be able to control it. We need to support the 8th prince. He is relatively weak and not very talented. He is easy to control. Etienne said. Are you confident? Lu Ming asked. At first, I was not very confident. However, with your arrival, I am 100% confident. Etienne laughed. Chapter 35:21. Including me, there are a total of 5 Boundary Emperors in the Barbarian Tribe. The 3 strongest princes have the support of a Boundary Emperor each. The remaining 2 will remain neutral for the time being. Etienne continued. Which 2? Lu Ming asked. One is me and the other is the Lord of Sky Barbarian. Hence, the 3 princes are desperately trying to rope us in. As long as one of us is successfully roped in, the situation will be completely reversed. The 3 princes have sought me out more than 3 times, but I did not agree. Etienne said. What should we do next? It's simple. The Lord of Sky Barbarian has been hesitating on which prince to support. As I have not expressed my opinion, he is not sure which prince he will support. This guy is very cautious. He will only choose if he has full confidence. What we need to do now is to find the Lord of Sky Barbarian, and let him know our strength. He will then choose our side. As for me, I will deliberately join the eldest prince's side. Then, we will be able to determine the outcome. Etienne said. All right, let's do that. Lu Ming nodded and exclaimed in his heart. Etienne was indeed the leader of the 3 generals under Jingyu. He was meticulous and his plan was flawless. After a while, they set off for the residence of the Lord of Sky Barbarian. In the south of the Barbarian Tribe territory, a huge mountain was suspended in the starry sky. This mountain was incredibly huge, and it was not smaller than a planet. Countless berserkers lived on the mountain, and there were as many powerful warriors as there were clouds in the sky. This was the residence of the Lord of Sky Barbarian. At the highest point of the mountain was an incredibly tall and sturdy middle-aged berserker. He was sitting cross-legged and training, and as he did so, banging sounds came from his body. Space itself was trembling like a drum, and it was an incredibly terrifying sight. Lord of Sky Barbarian, Void Annihilation Marshal wants to see you. At this time, a burly barbarian came to report. Etienne came to see me. He probably wanted to find out which prince I supported. This guy is very smart. Let him in. The Lord of Sky Barbarian smiled. Soon Etienne flew in with Lu Ming, Giant Bear, Zhu Tai, and the others. However, Lu Ming only brought Giant Bear and 5 rank 9 Divine Lord experts. He did not bring the others. Etienne, why did you come to my Heavenly Barbarian Mountain instead of staying in the Void Extermination Stage Army? The Sky Barbarian Lord smiled casually. A straightforward person does not resort to insinuations. Now that the Emperor of Berserkers has fallen, several princes are fighting for the position of the Emperor of Berserkers. It is impossible for us to remain completely neutral. We have to choose a prince to support. Etienne went straight to the point. What you said makes sense. What about you? Which prince do you plan to support? The Sky Barbarian Lord smiled. He asked about Etienne's choice first. He was smart. I won't hide it either. I've already sided with the 8th prince and supported him to become the Emperor of Berserkers. Etienne said. What? This time, the Sky Barbarian Lord was taken aback. He was furious. Dao Etienne, do you think I'm stupid? Do you think you can trick me with a lie? He thought Etienne was tricking him into choosing the 8th prince. He did not believe it at all. Not to mention the 8th prince's talent, there was almost no one who supported the 8th prince. If he chose the 8th prince, how could he compete with the other 3 princes? In the end, he would definitely lose. It was better to choose the other princes than the 8th prince. Hence, he thought Etienne was lying. Are you looking at me like I'm lying? If you don't believe me, I can swear on my life origin, Etienne said with a serious face. Looking at Etienne's expression, the Sky Barbarian Lord could not help but believe him. However, he frowned. Why? I want to know why. Why did you choose the 8th prince? If you chose the other princes, wouldn't you be more confident? The Sky Barbarian Lord said. I don't like the other 3 princes. Alright, Sky Barbarian, I'm here to cooperate with you. Let's support the 8th prince to become the Emperor of Berserkers. How about that? Etienne said. Support the 8th prince? The Sky Barbarian Lord smiled faintly. Etienne, why should I choose the 8th prince? You should also know that the other 3 princes have already looked for me many times. As for the 8th prince, he is alone and weak. Even if he has the support of the 2 of us, he still doesn't have full confidence in winning. If I support the other princes, I will have a better chance. What if we join in? At this moment Lu Ming spoke. You? What are you? The Sky Barbarian Lord sneered and looked at Lu Ming and the rest with disdain. Before this, he had not looked at Lu Ming and the rest. In his opinion, Lu Ming and the rest were just Etienne's subordinates. They were not qualified for him to look at. But at this moment, when he glanced over, he swallowed the words he was about to say, and his pupils shrank. Lu Ming was naturally ignored by him. The main reason was that the people behind Lu Ming were too shocking. The Sky Barbarian Lord could tell at a glance that there were 5 9th-level Divine Lords. The most shocking one was Zhu Xiong. He had a strong aura, and was at the same level as the Sky Barbarian Lord. The disdain on his face disappeared. He quickly cupped his fists and said, Sorry for the disrespect. Now we're qualified. Lu Ming continued. The Sky Barbarian Lord was displeased. He was talking to Zhu Xiong and the rest. How could Lu Ming, a supreme being, interrupt? Don't you understand that the juniors should not interrupt when the seniors are talking? The Sky Barbarian Lord looked at Lu Ming unhappily. Boom. As soon as the Sky Barbarian Lord finished speaking, Zhu Xiong took a step forward, and a powerful aura fell on the Sky Barbarian Lord. He said coldly, His words are our words. His words are our words. Do you understand? What? This time, the Sky Barbarian Lord was even more shocked. It turned out that so many powerful figures were actually obeying Lu Ming's orders. 1 Boundary Emperor and 5 9th-level Divine Lords listened to Lu Ming. What was Lu Ming's background? It must be shocking. He knew that he had completely underestimated Lu Ming. The Sky Barbarian Lord thought quickly. How about it, Sky Barbarian? With our strength and yours, we have a 99% chance of winning if we support the 8th prince. Etienne said with a smile. The Sky Barbarian Lord's eyes flickered as he pondered. After a while he said, Okay, I agree to work with you to support the 8th prince. He finally made a decision. Etienne and Lu Ming already had 2 Boundary Emperors. In addition to the 5 9th-level Divine Lords behind Lu Ming and Etienne's Void Annihilation Army, their strength was shocking. Even if he chose another prince to join them, they might not win. After all, if he chose 1 prince, there were still 2 other princes and the 8th prince. The situation was extremely complicated, and they had no chance of winning. However, if he chose the 8th prince, they would have a much higher chance of winning. Chapter 35:22. The Lord of Sky Barbarian agreed to support the 8th prince. Next, they discussed the details. Etian and Lu Ming took their leave. Etian. Does the barbarian tribe really only have 5 boundary emperors? They should have some hidden power, right? Lu Ming asked Etian on the way. That's right, the barbarian tribe naturally has hidden power and a few hidden boundary emperors. Etian said. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. If that's the case, if the other princes get help from these people, won't we lose? No. Etian laughed. The barbarian tribe was very different from the Taishu dynasty. The hidden experts of the barbarian tribe would not intervene in the fight between the princes. They only took orders from the barbarian emperor. They would only take action when the barbarian tribe was in danger. Therefore, even if the princes fought to the death, they would not intervene. They would only appear and serve the new barbarian emperor when one of the princes sat on the throne. I see. Lu Ming nodded. Soon after, they returned to the Void Destroyer army and went to meet the 8th prince. The 8th prince was pleasantly surprised to know that there were so many experts. A few days later, the 1st prince sent someone to invite Etian to support the 1st prince. This time, Etian agreed directly. Of course, he agreed on purpose. This was also part of their plan. Etian deliberately sided with the 1st prince to deal with the other 2 princes, and then the 1st prince. Everything was ready. They just had to wait for 2 months. 2 months was half a year after the barbarian emperor's death. According to the barbarian tribe's rules, a new barbarian emperor could be elected half a year after the barbarian emperor's death. At that time, most of the senior figures of the barbarian tribe would gather. Victory and defeat would be decided at that time. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. That day was a major event for the barbarian tribe. Countless experts and senior figures gathered at the holy capital of the barbarian tribe. They knew that the new barbarian emperor was about to be born. Lu Ming, Etian, the 8th prince, the Lord of Sky Barbarian, and the others also came to the holy capital of the barbarian tribe. In front of the barbarian race's holy capital, there was a huge square where countless barbarians were gathered. Lu Ming and the others sat in a corner and waited quietly, keeping a low profile. The 5th prince had arrived. Someone exclaimed softly. From the right, a large group of people stepped through the air, and a terrifying pressure surged over from that direction. An expert. They were all experts. There were too many experts in this group. The leader was a berserker who looked to be in his 30s. This person was the 5th prince of the berserker race. Following closely beside him was an old man. The aura that this old man emitted was exceptionally terrifying. Quasi-emperor. Lu Ming immediately determined that this old man was a quasi-emperor. 5th brother, what an imposing manner. Are you trying to show us who's boss? A sneer was heard as a group of people flew over from another direction. The auras of this group of people were equally terrifying. When they clashed with the auras of the 5th prince's group, intense explosions rang out in the sky. The 2nd prince. Someone whispered. All right, sit down. How can you be so hostile when you just arrived? A cold shout came from the north. There was also a group of people who stepped through the air. The leader was a burly middle-aged man. Everyone recognized that he was the 1st prince. Hee. The 2nd prince and the 5th prince both sneered and looked displeased. They were displeased that the 1st prince was reprimanding them. Brother, you haven't become the barbarian emperor yet. Don't talk to us in such a tone. The 2nd prince said unhappily and led his people to sit down in an area. The 5th prince also led his people to sit down. The 1st prince snorted coldly, and a strong murderous intent flashed in the depths of his eyes. Then he led his people to the northern area and sat down. All right, almost everyone is here today. Now let's start discussing the important matters. The 1st prince stood up and spoke first. The scene suddenly became so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. Everyone knew that the main event was about to begin. Father was ambushed by the Wu people and died. Now the barbarian tribe is without a ruler. However, a country can't be without a ruler for a day. Now half a year has passed. It's time to elect a new barbarian emperor. The first prince's voice echoed throughout the hall. Hee, then who do you think is more suitable to be the barbarian emperor? The second prince asked with a cold smile. Since second brother asked, I'll get straight to the point. Since ancient times, there has been an order of seniority. Father has died, so naturally, I, the eldest son, will inherit the barbarian emperor's throne. The first prince said. Ha 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 ha. As soon as the first prince finished speaking, the second prince laughed disdainfully. Second brother, what are you laughing at? The first prince asked with a gloomy expression. What era is it now? Why is there still an order of seniority? In my opinion, the barbarian emperor's throne is very important. We must choose a prince with the highest talent, the strongest strength, and the best future. Only then will the barbarian tribe have a future and become more prosperous. The second prince said loudly. Among the princes, in terms of talent and cultivation, the second prince was indeed the best. He was slightly stronger than the first prince and the fifth prince. What a joke! The barbarian emperor is the ruler of the tribe. What's the use of having a slightly stronger cultivation? The first prince said. You're saying that you're very convincing? The second prince retorted. Of course. The first prince said confidently. Second brother, you don't have to disagree with me. I now announce that I will inherit the barbarian emperor's throne. Who has any objections? I have objections. The second prince shouted as soon as the first prince finished speaking. How dare you? The first prince shouted coldly with a gloomy expression. Second brother, I'm the eldest. You're offending me. Since that's the case, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of father. With that, the first prince waved his hand. Boom. A middle-aged barbarian stepped out from behind the first prince. A violent aura burst out from him, causing heaven and earth to shake violently. The middle-aged man was a quasi-emperor stage cultivator. The aura of a quasi-emperor covered the sky and pressed down on the second prince. However, another quasi-emperor stepped out from behind the second prince. A terrifying aura spread out. The two terrifying auras collided, causing heaven and earth to explode. Some of the weaker cultivators were so scared that their organs trembled, and they were almost scared to death. A battle between quasi-emperors was too terrifying. Teach me a lesson on behalf of father? Do you have the right to do that? The second prince sneered. You don't know what's good for you. The first prince shouted coldly. Boom. In an instant, the two quasi-emperors exchanged blows. They shot up into the sky, entered the starry sky, and exchanged blows. Boom. Heaven and earth shook violently. The starry sky in the distance trembled non-stop. A large number of stars were trembling. The barbarian tribe's holy capital was similar to the great illusionary saint capital. It was covered with a large array. At this moment it was shining brightly. Chapter 35-23. Boom. 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 The two quasi-emperors fought fiercely, and it was hard to determine the winner. You have a quasi-emperor, so do I. You have the support of a 9th-level divine lord, so do I. What makes you the barbaric emperor? I should be the barbaric emperor. Now let's fight it out. The second prince sneered and stepped out. He wanted to fight the first prince. Throughout this process, the fifth prince remained seated and did not utter a word. His eyes were filled with surprise. He really didn't expect that the first prince and the second prince would actually start fighting. This was great news for him. If the first prince and the second prince were both seriously injured, he would be able to reap the benefits without doing anything. He would be a fool to speak at this time. The first prince and the second prince were confronting each other, and their subordinates were also confronting each other. There was no lack of 9th-level divine lords among them. However, they did not make a move. Instead, they watched the battle in the starry sky. Quasi-emperors were much stronger than ordinary 9th-level divine lords. Once the quasi-emperors were defeated, it would directly affect the balance of the battle. In the blink of an eye, the two had exchanged more than 100 moves. The battle was extremely intense. The two quasi-emperors also used their full strength. This was also related to their future. At this time, the first prince looked at Etion and secretly gave him a look. He dared to make a move because of Etion. Etion had already surrendered to him, but he did not expose himself. He wanted to determine the winner at the critical moment. And now was the critical moment. Seeing the first prince's look, Etion naturally understood. Then with a swoosh, he soared into the sky and rushed into the battle between the two quasi-emperors. Etion's sudden attack was too unexpected. It was beyond the expectations of many, including the quasi-emperor, who supported the second prince. He did not expect Etion to suddenly make a move. Of course, the quasi-emperor who supported the first prince naturally knew. At this moment, he used his strongest move to attack his opponent. The quasi-emperor who supported the second prince shouted angrily. He could only block the attack, but Etion had already arrived. Boom! Etion threw a punch. The quasi-emperor who supported the second prince could not block it, and was directly hit in the chest. The full power attack of a quasi-emperor was extremely terrifying. The quasi-emperor supporting the second prince screamed as his body was sent flying, crashing into a huge planet. That planet was directly pierced through before crashing into another planet. A large hole had been blasted open in his chest. His bones had been shattered. With just this move, the other party was already severely injured. The first prince's quasi-emperor seized the opportunity and chased after him, launching another thunderous attack. Puff! The second prince's quasi-emperor screamed miserably. Half of his body exploded and he almost died. Although he was not dead, his aura was weak and he no longer had the strength to fight. His head was grabbed by the quasi-emperor of the first prince, and his life was in his hands. The scene fell into a deathly silence. Everything happened too quickly. From Etion's attack to the second prince's quasi-emperor being severely injured, it only took an instant. Don't kill him. The first prince's voice spread far and wide. That was a quasi-emperor. It would be a pity to kill him as long as he was severely injured. He was the one who wanted to become the barbarian emperor. If he killed all of them, he would have no subordinates he could use. What was the point of being the barbarian emperor then? Impossible, impossible. At that moment, the second prince came to his senses. His face was pale and he kept shaking his head, unable to accept what had happened. It was over. He knew that he was done for. The quasi-emperor had been defeated. He was finished. Moreover, Etion had also sided with the first prince. He was no longer qualified to fight back. Beside him, the fifth prince's face was also pale. How could this be? This scene was completely out of his expectations. Weren't Etion and the Lord of Sky Barbarian neutral? Why did Etion suddenly side with the first prince? Initially, he was very happy to see the battle between the first prince and the second prince. He thought that he could reap the benefits without doing anything. He did not expect the second prince to be defeated in the blink of an eye. At that moment, the fifth prince was filled with regret. If he had known earlier, he would have joined forces with the second prince. Swoosh! The first prince's quasi-emperor appeared in front of the fifth prince. Second brother, kill yourself. You have already lost. The first prince said coldly. If he lost, he would die. No, impossible. The second prince roared and looked at the fifth prince. Fifth brother, we might be able to defeat him if we join forces. Otherwise, we will die. You are courting death. Kill. The first prince shouted, not giving the fifth prince time to react. Boom. Boom. Etion and the first prince's quasi-emperor charged towards the second prince. The terrifying aura made the second prince's face turn pale, and his body tremble. There were many experts beside the second prince. There were 9th and 8th level divine lords. However, at that moment their eyes flickered. For a moment no one stepped forward. They were not enough to face two quasi-emperors. While they were stunned, the second prince was already in Etion's hands. Let me go, big brother. Spare me. Spare me. The second prince was almost scared to death. He screamed crazily. Although his cultivation was not weak, he was not strong enough in front of Etion. To be honest, the barbarian emperor was not very old back then. Therefore, the barbarian tribe princes were much younger than the crown prince and second prince of the Taishu dynasty. Their cultivation was naturally not comparable to the crown prince and second prince of the Taishu dynasty. Not to mention Etion. I gave you a chance before. Unfortunately, you did not know how to cherish it. The first prince sneered. He took a step forward and charged towards the second prince like lightning. Then, a sword light flashed in his hand and slashed down. With a puff, the second prince was directly killed. The scene was silent. No one was too surprised by this scene. Almost everyone expected that there would be a bloody massacre today. It had always been like this. If you lost the fight for the throne, you would die. It did not matter if you were brothers. It was just that cruel. I'm willing to submit to the first prince. I'm also willing to support the first prince to become the barbarian emperor. The second prince's subordinates immediately surrendered when they saw that the second prince was dead. Great haha! The first prince was overjoyed. After dealing with the second prince, the outcome was set. There was only the fifth prince left. He was not a threat. Fifth brother at that moment. The first prince looked at the fifth prince. Big brother. The fifth prince's face was pale. He could not speak clearly. Fifth brother, I'll give you a chance. I won't kill you. Destroy your own cultivation. The first prince said lightly. What? You want to destroy my cultivation? No, impossible. The fifth prince roared. If his cultivation was destroyed, how was he different from a cripple? This was something that no cultivator could accept. Big brother, I won't fight with you anymore. Let me go. Don't destroy my cultivation. The fifth prince roared and began to beg for mercy. That you're tuning in to the Limei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.